Going electric has never been easier for the average consumer, especially in the boating and cruising world right now. As we are getting ready to pull out our universal M25 XP diesel engine out of our Catalina 30 sailboat, join me as we talk about why going electric was our first option, and ultimately why we decided against it. So if you've been following along, you know we are in the middle of pulling out our old, crusty, rusty, original to the boat Universal M25 XP 3-cylinder diesel out of our Catalina 30. Over many years of poor maintenance and neglect by the previous owner, the area around the water pump on the gear case cover has continued to erode away. That has produced an oil leak that's been ongoing for years and years. When starting our cruise south, we felt like we had the oil leak under control and managed. However, after about 30 hours of motoring and 3 weeks of traveling, we knew it was time to pivot and make some decisions. That's how we ended up here in Deltaville, Virginia. As we see it, we only had two options: refresh the engine or repower altogether. However, after hours upon hours of research and late night Googling, we found out that the cheapest and easiest option may be blown out of the water. See, the Universal M25 and the Universal M25 XP engines share the same gear cover on the front of the engine. The M25s were prone to have alternator bracket failures that often cracked the actual gear case cover, the gear cover on the front of the engine. Therefore, after these engines stopped being produced, a lot of folks were going after those case covers for the M25s, and just so happened, again, sharing that same part with the M25 XPs made these gear covers exceptionally hard to find. Over the years, Catalina owners have gotten really creative with seeking out Kubota replacement parts. See, the Universal M25 and 25 XP are based off of the Kubota D750, 850, 950 engine series. So we've gotten really creative. And ultimately, that's going to come in handy for us down the road. With thousands of Catalina 30s out there, many of owners have repowered to many different solutions, with arguably the best going to the Beta Marine 20 engine. Now, I know a couple folks have gone Volvos. I know there's some Yanmars out there as well, but ultimately the Beta 20 is the perfect drop-in for an M25 and 25 XP replacement. Beta is held in high regard in the marine industry, offering a simple design built out of quality parts. The Beta 20 makes a lot of sense for Catalina 30 owners due to its minimal modification fit. Beta offers pretty much out-of-the-box mounting solutions that fit our existing engine beds, both stringers and in the fiberglass bays that we have in some of our boats. Repowering sounds great and all. Everybody would love to have a fresh, gorgeous engine just underneath that settee cushion, until you have to whip out the wallet. To get a brand new, ready-to-install engine from Beta USA, you are looking at nearly $14,000. That's before the labor of removing the old engine and having someone else install the new one for you. It's not unheard of to see quotes at nearly $20,000 for a full refit. So back to the drawing board we went. In my late night Googling, I found several mentions of electric motors, and I immediately dismissed the thought until I found Electric Yacht. Electric Yacht quietly has made a name for itself as an all-in-one package solution for customers ready to purchase a motor and controller with arguably a simplistic install process in mind. Their reviews online are positive and also offer detailed testimonials for dozens of owners with all sorts of boats. What stood out to me personally is how so many Catalina 30s have had Electric Yacht motors installed in them. Specifically, the Quiet Torque 10, which is their base offering, starts at just under $5,000. That offers 10 kilowatts of power, perfect for sailboats that fall under 35 feet and 12,000 pounds of displacement. Now, all of this is starting to sound enticing, right? $5,000 for a replacement motor. You've got my attention. Well, there's a lot more benefits than just the price for electric engines. Well, with these electric motors, there is no weight when it comes to power. And this is arguably one of my favorite points here when we look at a pros and cons list going electric. That's what makes hybrid sports cars and even baseline Teslas so fast as the torque from an electric motor is instant. Once you deliver or once you demand it, it appears. This is going to be really helpful when trying to punch through maybe some a stiff current area, or even with docking. So we all know we've been caught in times where we really, if we, we didn't think ahead, and we want to leverage that power in our engine, but it's going to take a minute to spool up, and by then we're in a different scenario. Whereas this, you command it, it's going to show up. Another really great positive and a solid point for electric is the maintenance side of things. At least with the electric yacht Quiet Torque 10, nearly non-existent when maintenance comes to mind. The motor is it is belt driven, but otherwise very simple design. Maintaining the batteries is the biggest issue, which we'll talk about that more in detail down the road. However, the biggest benefit for the family, and something I didn't consider when purchasing a Catalina 30, was the lack of motor noise and odors that come with an electric motor, with a slight hum replacing that clunky, loud, smelly universal diesel. Hold on a moment though. Isn't this video about not going electric? Well, it is ultimately, and we've had to pivot again and make some decisions to go elsewhere. And it sucks because I really wanted electric to work for us. So much so we were in talks with Electric Yacht on availability. We had already discussed and planned out what we were going to do with the space when we gave up our fuel tank and the engine space that we were going to lose, or that we were going to gain rather, when we pulled those components out. However, one day speaking with one of their salesmen, I heard the following: you can't just use any ordinary batteries. The honeymoon was over. We work on a tight budget around the Beagle Bee, as many cruisers do. So when I found several 12-volt, 200 amp hour solutions for under $400, I got excited. I knew I would need 4 of them to make up the 48-volt system that the Electric Yacht engine would run off of. But hey, that's better than $4,000 in lithium, right? Well, sort of. See, batteries have a thing called continuous power output ratings. This is the amount of power that the batteries can output to a device at any given time continuously. You probably see where I'm headed here. As with most things, the AGM solution out there that offer the amp hours we need, along with fitting in our budget, didn't offer the continuous output we needed to power the Electric Yacht Quiet Torque, or any other electric motor for that matter. Suddenly, a solution that would roughly cost $6,500 after full install and me doing the work now has suddenly become a $9,000 refit with minimal battery bank. Consider we have plans to journey down the ICW to the Bahamas and beyond. We would need a high amp hour lithium battery bank, which would put us north of $10,000. Just with anything though, there's also pros and cons to going electric and going electric. There is some negatives, mainly with range. Range with any electric motor is something to consider, and we were in no exception. A full charge would get us roughly 25 to 28 miles, and that was not even going to be very quickly. We're looking at 3 knots versus, on average you could cruise at 4 with a diesel, which is slow even for a sailboat. Any additional range would have to come at the expense of running our 2 kilowatt suitcase generator, which we have on board, while motoring. Even unlimited range with something like that, because eventually the charger will not keep up with the battery bank. The next kind of downside here of going electric is, in conjunction with range, is charging. For a racer or weekend cruiser, being near the dock isn't that problematic. You're usually there anyway. However, we often spend days or weeks at anchor. If we were looking to be fully solar with minimal generator use, it could take 3 or 4 days to charge a 200 amp hour 48 volt battery bank, which not ideal for daily motors down the ICW. One final thing about going electric that's a disadvantage is cost. As with anything, cost always has to be considered, and it's no exception here, but not necessarily about the motor, but the battery bank itself. While lithium has become much more affordable and available, it is still a significant investment to go to a full lithium bank for any level of range. Again, you're talking about needing 250 to 300 to 350 amp hours of 48 volt power, and it's just expensive. kudos to you that we're out there in 2018 purchasing lithium and really kind of proving the concept in the market. It's just, and it's gotten much more affordable. It's just not quite there yet. With all that said, again, I'll reiterate, electric options are more viable than they ever have before, and I'm sure that market will continue to get better and better. And we shouldn't dismiss it without significant considerations down the road. So ultimately, after it's all said and done, we elected to go with a refresh of our M25 XP universal diesel engine. We were able to locate some parts and, man, found some other problems that we didn't foresee coming, that's for sure. So if you haven't already done so, like, subscribe, comment down below. Are you running an electric setup? Are you happy with it? Are you planning to go electric? Or how lucky have you been with your M25 XP or other diesel that's original with the boat? And what shape is it in? I'd love to hear from you. Until next time.